Harry with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. We're at Chase Stadium, where the Cubs will try to make it 2 in a row and win this series 2 out of 3. You're getting a look into the Cub dugout. Jim Essien, whom you just met a moment ago. Right behind him is Joe Altobelli, who filled in as the interim manager the first day, and there's Buddy Harrelson of the Mets. Here are the lineups for tonight's game. For the Cubs, DeCenzo in center, Sandberg at second, Grace at first, Bell in left, Dawson in right, Berryhill catching, Salazar at third, Dunston at shortstop, and Shawn Boskie, 24-year-old right-hander, is trying for his 3rd victory of the year. For the Mets, it will be Vince Coleman leading off in center. Keith Miller will play second. Hubie Brooks in right. Howard Johnson at third. Kevin McReynolds in left. Tim Tuffle at first. Rick Cerrone, the catcher. Kevin Elster playing short. And Ron Darling, who's 1-2 and lost 2, will be on the mound. The defense for the Mets, who have not yet taken the field, will be McReynolds in left, Coleman in center, Brooks in right, and of course the key man out there is Coleman, not only defensively but offensively as well. The umpires will be Jerry Crawford behind the plate, Terry Taylor at first, Steve Ripley at second, and Bill Hahn at third. A cool night with a clear night.
Well, it was muggy the first night of this series, but it's not muggy tonight. It's a beautiful night in New York. And when we last left you, Dwight Gooden was going to the mound, and the Cubs haven't defeated him in this ballpark since 1987. It's much different for Ron Darling. He hasn't defeated the Cubs in this ballpark since 1987. He has an 8-9 lifetime record against them, and that's the only team in the National League that Ron Darling does not have a winning record against.
There's our battery, Darling pitching and Rick Cerrone, a veteran. Most of his years have been in the American League. And there is Shawn Boskie. Dick Paul, the pitching coach.
He's talking to him about reaching out, and apparently Shawn Boskie was probably short-arming the ball. Unless you reach out, you can't get the breaking ball over the plate, and I think Dick was giving him a few last-second instructions.
Here go the Mets out on the field. You know, this is such an important ball game. You know, the papers have just been full of the Cubs change of managers. First day, all about Zimmer. Second day, all about the new manager, Essien. Essien, in his first game win, the Cubs win. A masterful ball game. Too bad we didn't have it on TV. But what a blessing it would be for everybody if the Cubs come home having swept 2 games to the Mets in this 3-game series.
Well, I rode out to the ballpark today with Jim Essien, and having been a former teammate of his with the Chicago White Sox, I know that number 1, he was a very smart man. Number 2, as a catcher, he was a very observant man. And he says that he's not going to learn this team overnight, but he has a big advantage. He comes into a situation that he's very familiar with. He had 14 or 15 of these guys at the minor league level. To a man, they enjoyed playing for him. They respected him. He said that he'll get along with most everybody, and he's not worried about the coaching staff because he knows most of the coaches. He was with the Cubs in spring training.
Jim Essien's the youngest manager in the National League now, and at 40 years of age. You know, I've often wondered something better that I could do for lawyers. Something I could suggest that they get into. Maybe would be better than going on to continue the legal profession. Well, the singing lawyer sang our national anthem today, Bob Unger and John Capillas. And I, after hearing them sing our national anthem, this is one case where I'm happy that these lawyers are studying law and not singing. They said the same thing about, they say the same thing about me every 7th inning at home.
There's a look at Ron Darling. He had off-season surgery, and they took 9 chips out of his right elbow. He said for the first time in a long time, he has full mobility in his arm. He feels that he's a lot stronger these days. The record is not particularly impressive at 2-2. He was one of the men on this team that was very vocal about Tommy Herr playing second base. Herr was supposed to play second base today. Greg Jeffries out with the flu, but Herr had back spasms, and so Keith Miller in at second.
Boy, we had a lot of things happening in baseball. Tommy Green, the young pitcher that the Phillies got, along with Dale Murphy, pitched a no-hit, no-run game for the Phillies, who beat Montreal 2-0 today, this afternoon. First pitch of the ball game, way high, ball 1. And Frank Robinson is out as manager of the Baltimore Orioles. Former Cub Johnny Oates replaces him. The pitch. Swing, fouls it back.
Harry, they're dropping like flies. I've never seen this many managerial changes this early in the season. We're just at the 40th game, just about 25% through this year, and we've seen 3 managerial changes in rapid order.
1 ball, 1 strike. Good. Well, a little bit inside. Ball 2. 2 balls and a strike. John Watson at Kansas City was replaced yesterday. Bouncing ball. Nice play by Elster, and he gets him in first. Elster, great man with the glove, went far to his left and threw out to Central.
Kevin Elster is back much sooner than everybody thought he was going to be. He had some shoulder surgery. Here he gets rid of the ball quickly, realizing that moving to his left, you can't get quite as much on the throw. And he depends on getting rid of the ball quickly as opposed to an overpowering throw from shortstop. He gets the job done. 1
out, and here is Brian Sandberg, who's had 2 out of 6 in the series. He's driven in 19 runs now. Had a good cut, fouled it off.
Darling has had very good control this year with just 9 walks in 39 2/3 innings. He throws a curveball for the first time in the last couple of years because he says his elbow feels a lot better. He's got a split finger. He doesn't throw a straight change per se. He just takes something off his fastball.
0-1 the count. Low and outside. The Texas Rangers beat Minnesota today, 10-6 in extra innings. Their 10th straight victory. The pitch. Inside. 2 balls and the strike. Boy, the Rangers in a virtual tie with Oakland now for first place. A high pop foul coming over near the stands, out of play. Fell atop the Mets dugout roof.
Good thing that Rick Cerrone went over into his own dugout. He might not have got that kind of help over in the Cubs dugout. He lost sight of where the step was, and he was held up by Tommy Spencer, among others. Here comes Cerrone. Right here, he can't do anything but almost go in the dugout, and he has plenty of help over there.
Bert Collins and Tim Old from Bedford, Indiana, hoping to see a Cub victory. He swung. Boy, he turned on that pitch. It was inside. Too bad he didn't hit it. He had a real good cut.
Last year was a disastrous year for Darling when he went 7-9 with a 4.50 ERA, but he was hurt most of last season. He had 6 straight years winning in double figures for the Mets, and he's now 30 games over 500 lifetime.
2-2 pitch. Curveball, he chased it. Or did he? Yep, they appealed to the first base umpire, and he ruled that he chased it. So Sandberg is out on strike.
Terry Tata said, yes, you did. Jerry Crawford, not too sure. Cerrone says, ask him. And he said, yes, he did.
2 men around. Here's Mark Graves. Hitting well in this series, 3 out of 8. Raises average to 284. 2 homers, 18 RBI. Pitch a little bit outside. Sandberg has 4 homers and 19 RBI. There's a strike call.
The whole right side of the infield is down with the flu bug. Dave Magadan missed the game last night. He's still a little weak tonight. And Jeffries is not even at the ballpark.
1 ball, 1 strike. Ground ball, that's sharp. There's the play by Elster, beautifully done. Boy, he covers a lot of ground. 1, 2, 3. We go in the bottom of the first, no score. Carry back at Chase Stadium. Vince Coleman is going to lead it off, hitting .261. Leads the major leagues in stolen bases. He's 3 out of 7 in this series. Had a big first game when the Mets beat the Cubs. High fastball. John Eckert, a member of our TV crew, wants to say hello to the Wroblewski family. Phil, Judy, and Renee. And also the Greg Loesch family, who are rabid Cub fans.
This is the 9th start of the year for Shawn. His first career start against the Mets. And you can't start out by walking this guy because you're asking for a stolen base or 2.
Yeah. When he walks, it's almost like a triple. Fastball right in there. Strike off.
One thing that Dick Cole told all of the starters in this series was make Vince Coleman hit his way on. If he gets a base hit, there's nothing you can do about it, but you can't walk him.
There's Dick Cole. Ball 3. Boy, look where Salazar and Grace. They can almost shake hands with Vince Coleman.
Coleman is bunting a lot more, and it probably has to do with a very slow natural surface here in New York, as opposed to the lively artificial surface in St. Louis.
3 balls and a strike. Strike 2 call. They're from Omaha, Nebraska, Mickey Riesberg and Tricia Manning. And from Hazelton, Pennsylvania, Mike and Renee Riesberg. 3-2. Fouled it back. You notice the way his hand came off the bat? That's a Braniak.
Walt Braniak style. Coleman has an on-base percentage of .374 despite his .261 batting average. He's walked 25 times. You get that batting average up a little bit, but keep the on-base percentage up, and you're a very effective leadoff hitter.
Big pitch. Check him out. That's a way to go. Coleman goes down swinging a 3-2 fastball right down the middle of the plate.
Pretty good comeback by Shawn Boskie. Fell behind 3-1, then threw 3 straight strikes to Coleman. Just Powder River right here. He kept the ball out away from him, and Coleman goes down. And that saves you a world of problems when you face the Mets.
1 man out. Here's Keith Miller. Curveball gets away from Damon Berryhill. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out.
Keith Miller was the man who took over center field when both Len Dykstra and Mookie Wilson were traded. They gave him that position. It didn't work out very well. He's an infielder by trade. He never really adjusted to center field, but he's a pretty good offensive player.
1 ball, no strikes. Swung and he missed. Joe Culver, formerly from Decatur, Illinois. That's Skeffington country. And her family still lives there. Joe Culver, formerly of Decatur. Her mother Irene watching the ball game right now. Strike. strike call. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I talked with Howard Johnson before the game, and he said that they really know nothing about Shawn Boskie. Yes, they have charts with what he has as far as stuff is concerned, but they had no idea how his fastball moved or how hard he threw. So the advantage early goes to Boskie.
There's a line drive, base hit. Keith Miller singles to right. Now there's a very speedy guy too, with Coleman leading off and Miller hitting second. They sure got a lot of speed.
Miller is 2 out of 2 in the stolen base department this year. The one thing Bud Harrelson knew, unlike Dave Johnson, who had that Baltimore influence of the 3-run homer, Bud Harrelson realizes you have to run. You have to hit and run. You have to use the stolen base. They got a much faster club in New York these days.
Throw over to first. Louis Ridgway celebrating a birthday. His 12th, graduating from 6th grade. Little league pitcher in Jackson, Mississippi. One of the well-known Ridgways. One on, 1 out. So the Mets have gotten a first base runner. A little low inside, ball 1. Hubie Brooks hitting .237. 1 out of 8 in the series. Hitting .237. Swung and he missed. I think something's happened to the scoreboard. It's not working.
One thing that you have to do with a good base runner on is don't allow him to distract you to the point where you're not doing justice to the man at bat. Because that's the man who can hurt you. Stolen base doesn't kill you, but a hanging curveball does.
Keith Miller is back. I got to do Arnie Harris, who celebrated a birthday yesterday, a real favor. In lieu of a birthday present, he wants me to mention that his wife is celebrating her birthday tonight. So, Arlene Harris, many, many, many more happy returns. And Arnie will buy you that new automobile when he gets home tomorrow. Quick throw, runner back.
Harry, I took Arnie out for his birthday last night, took him to dinner. He ate like the troops returning from Saudi Arabia. Stayed for an hour and a half last night. Happy birthday, Arnie.
I don't know which is a bigger surprise. What, that he ate so much, or that you took him out? Well, you did pay for the dinner.
Oh, yeah,
okay.
Of course.
Where'd you go to, McDonald's?
We went to Mickey Mantle's, one of your favorite guys.
That's the same as McDonald's. The pitch. Base hit up the middle. And Keith Miller holds up at second. And now, Shawn Boskie's in trouble. Because here's Hojo. Howard Johnson, 3 out of 8 in the series. 9 homers for the year.
One thing that Boskie has done this year is given up more hits than innings pitched. His control has been good. He only has 18 walks. But he is giving up a few too many base hits. And he said last time out he realized that fastball was getting up higher and higher. He really didn't know how to combat that. Perhaps Dick Pole has helped him work that out. But he's got a tough man to face in a difficult situation early in this one.
This Johnson can really run and he can really hit from either side. Has him grounded into a double play this year. Swings. It's a change of pace curve. Foul. 1 strike.
That's what you have to do with Howard Johnson. If you throw the fastball, show it to him away. And then make him hit something off speed. He doesn't hit breaking balls very well. He doesn't hit changeups very well. But he crushes a fastball from both sides of the plate.
0-1 the count. Runners at first and second. Swung and he miss. And he's behind now, 0-2. Boy, how about those Texas Rangers? Have won 10 in a row, the longest winning streak of the major league so far this year.
And they've done it without Nolan Ryan.
0-2. Fastball outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Boy, Greg Maddux pitched an outstanding ball game last night in beating the Mets 5-2. He allowed only 5 hits. Struck out 8. Ground ball, right field, base hit. 1-0 in favor of the Mets. Johnson singles sharply through the hole in the right field.
RBI number 27 for Howard Johnson. That breaking ball was up a little too much. You can see the location. He didn't get a whole lot on it. Johnson drove it through the right side, and the Mets are up 1.
That was hit perfectly. If it hit a couple feet the other way, it's a double play. But instead was right between Grace at first, Sandberg at second. And here's Kevin McReynolds, who's a big star in the first game with 3 out of 4. Runners at first and third. 1 out. A little bit low, ball 1. And so the Mets are out in front.
You have to keep your eye on Howard Johnson. He swiped 6 bases in 9 attempts. He does like to run.
The outfield deep. Throw to first, runner back. Darling has won 2, lost 2 this year. High ball. And Berryhill trots out to talk to Boskie, who's having a lot of trouble. There you see Jim Essian.
Damon's having conversation with him about getting the ball up. He's got to follow through more, and that's something Dick Pole was talking to him about in the bullpen before the game. So apparently Boskie's still having some trouble with his mechanics, and it's showing on the mound tonight.
3 hits in a row have produced 1 run. And the Mets have men at the corners. Quick throw, runner back. Let's pause for station identification.
This is WGN TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
2 balls, no strikes. High, top fly, short right field. Watch the runner at third. Andre has it. Here's the throw. Cut off by Mark Grace. So there's 2 away. And that'll bring up Tim Tuffle, who homered off Maddux with 2 out in the 9th inning last night.
It's a good throw by Andre Dawson because you have to hit the cutoff man here. The tendency is if Brooks makes a good fake, you're going to throw it all the way through. But Dawson knows that if he does hit Grace, that'll mean that Howard Johnson cannot advance to second base, and you still have the force out at second. Brooks comes halfway down the line, but he can't go anywhere, and neither can Johnson.
Linda Preston and her son Michael from Omaha, with family in Manila, Iowa. 2 out, runners at first and third. The Mets are out in front 1-0. There's a pitch a little low. They got out in front early last night, too. 1-0. But the Cubs came back with 3 in the 3rd.
Darling is not a complete game pitcher. He hasn't completed any games. So if you get out of this inning with just 1 run, the club is in pretty good shape.
Get it down, Shawn. You better get it down. Tuffle hitting only 133. Got his first homer last night. He was 1 out of 4. Has good power. Used to play with the Minnesota Twins. Two balls, no strikes. Strike over the outside corner. Rick Cerrone, a pretty good hitting catcher, will be next. But there are 2 gone. 2 balls and a strike. Johnson, a good base stealer at first. He stepped off the rubber. That's why that's not a ball. 2 balls and the strike. They played Tuffle slightly shaded towards left. Swung and he missed. 2-2. The Cubs are back home tomorrow to face Montreal in the game starting at 2:20. Again the throw. Montreal plays 3 games over the weekend, and then Monday the Mets are in Chicago. 2-2 pitch. There goes a runner. There's a throw into center field. A run scored. Berryhill threw the ball badly. A stolen base for Johnson. An error on Berryhill.
Error number 3 on Damon Berryhill. And the way he's been throwing, this is not a throw you want to make. This one hits the grass, bounds into center field, and Hubie Brooks comes scampering home.
That's Johnson's 7th stolen base of the year. 3-2 on Tuffle. Fouled it back into the stand. 3 balls, 2 strikes. The Phillies shut out Montreal with Tom Green pitching a no-hit, no-run game. He walked 7 and fanned 10. There's a long, hard foul ball into the left field stand. Tommy Green now is 3-0. Oil Can Boyd was a loser. And Texas got 5 in the 11th to win their 10th in a row. A bouncing ball foul. 3-2. You know, the unfortunate part, it didn't look as if Berryhill really had a shot.
Didn't have much of a shot at all. That's why I'm surprised, Harry, that he threw through. Sometimes you'll see Sandberg come across in front of the bag and take a throw. That time the ball hit the grass. There wasn't much that he could do with that one. And Damon just not throwing the ball particularly well.
3-2 the count. The pitch. There's a high foul ball in the left field corner. It might be in play, and it is. And George Bell went into the left field corner for Tuffle's long foul ball. So 2-run score on 3 hits, 1 error. At the end of 1, the Mets lead 2-0. Harry Carey and Steve Stone back at Chase Stadium. Well, there's a lot of pitching form on the hoof there. Franco with the jacket and Dwight Gooden.
The starter, the stopper.
Both guys make mucho dinero. Here's George Bell against Darling. Pitch inside. The Phillies, with their victory, are now at 500. There's a looper in the short center, a base hit for Bell. Bell loops one into center field. And so Darling need not worry about throwing a no-hitter, as Tommy Green and the Phillies did earlier today. You know, that Fregosi, who is one of the new managers, now has his team at the 500 mark. I think they were about 6 or 7 below 500 when he took over. Andre takes the curveball in there. Dawson hitting .292 with 8 homers.
The Mets made a great trade when they got Ron Darling from the Texas Rangers along with Walt Terrell. Then they used Walt Terrell to get Howard Johnson, and both Johnson and Darling still here with the Mets.
A little bit low, that evens the count. Frank and Lucy Strobel are here. One ball, one strike. Inside and high. John Thomas, Brian Groskopf, Glenn Kendall, Brian Martello, Tim Surin, all from Rockport, Illinois. Here hoping to see the Cubs win. A high pop fly on the infield. That'll be caught by Keith Miller, and he has it. Dawson popped out. That brings up Damon Berryhill. Berryhill homered in the first game of the series.
Both the Mets and the Cubs in a similar situation in that both teams are waiting for their offense to come around. The Mets hitting just .236, the Cubs hitting .242 coming into tonight. And both teams figured to have plenty of offense when the season started. It hasn't worked out that way. But the Mets pitching is dominating, leading the major leagues in earned run average to this point of the year.
Swung and he missed the curveball. Mike Chappell is here. His grandmother watching the ball game in Triumph, Illinois. There goes the run, and the pitch is fouled back.
Sometimes the best way to shake a hitter out of a slump is to use the hit and run, and that's what Jim Essien did there. Damon not swinging the bat particularly well, and so you got to concentrate to protect the runner, knowing George Bell probably isn't going to be able to steal the base. And Berryhill spoiled a pretty good pitch.
One on, one out. 0-2 the count. Throw to first. The Dodgers leading in the National League West by a half a game over Atlanta. Cincinnati leading the Giants 5-0 in the second. Oh boy, he made him look sick on that. Berryhill strikes out. Here's Luis Salazar, who homered to start the Cubs on their way to victory last night. Louis got 3 homers, 5 RBIs. Curveball inside.
Darling is a much different pitcher these days. At various times during the course of his career, Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach, had to take him aside and talk to him about nipping at the corners too much early in the count and consistently falling behind.
The pitch. Inside and high again. Another breaking ball. Cardinals lead at Pittsburgh 1-0 in the third. Dodgers at Houston 1-0 in the fourth. There's a pitch, ball 3. San Francisco at 112 and lost 27. 15 games under 500, and they're losing tonight 5-0. Strike call at Cincinnati. Three balls and the strike.
This is a fastball situation. Let's see if Darling takes something off, or if he does give in to Salazar with a fastball.
There goes the runner, swung on, ground ball. Elster's got it over the first in time to retire the side. We're going to bottom of the second. 2-0 Mets. Harry Carey back at Chase Stadium. Rick Cerrone leading it off, hitting .293 with 1 homer. Bouncing ball right to Salazar to throw to first. 1 man out. That brings up Kevin Elster, hitting .291 with 2 homers.
Number 21.
When Elster first had shoulder surgery, they thought that he was going to be lost to this team until June, but he healed a lot more quickly than people thought. Made the team in spring training, just activated off the disabled list, and he's really got to play to solidify this infield. He is a fine glove man, as you've seen already tonight.
There's a pitch in there, a strike call. 1 out, nobody on. Mets lead 2-0, but it's early. Ground ball, too short. Dunston throws. Hit high. What an arm. Elster out on a bang-bang play.
You know that you have to come get the ball on this infield. It's very soft and the grass is high. Dunston realizes that Elster's got decent speed, and he comes across and fires a bullet right at Mark Grayson, gets him by a half step.
Is Ron Darling. Pretty good hitting pitcher.
Mark Grace had a word with Terry Tate, and I'm sure Tate probably said to him, do you have to have a catcher's sponge catching Dunston from shortstop?
Darling hitting .214 with 3 out of 14, 2 doubles included. Now he's in the hole 0-2.
Shawn looks a lot more comfortable this inning. He's following through on the breaking ball, and consequently he's getting something on it. Now he says he'll throw the curveball early in the count. He hasn't been very happy with that pitch, and use the slider when he has to go get the hitter. He feels much more comfortable with that pitch.
A little low. Tony Gwynn's leading the National League in batting average, .354. 2-2 now. 2 out, nobody on. 2-0 in favor of the Mets. Gwynn .354, BGO .347. Morris of the Reds, Hosea of the Cardinals, and McGriff. And Darling goes down swinging. At the end of 2 innings, the Mets are out in front 2-0. Carey and Steve Stone as we go into the top of the third. Shawon Dunston will lead it off. The Cubs are at home at Wrigley Field for a 2:20 game with Montreal tomorrow. At 7:05 Saturday. At 1:20 Sunday. Then the Mets come in. Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Here's Dunston. 2 out of 5 in the series. It's a little bit outside. Darling will be 31 years old in August.
Ron Darling said he's kind of surprised to still be around. He heard his name tossed about in all kinds of trade rumors all winter and all early spring.
High pop foul over near the stand and out of play. And so Dunston is still alive. The count 1-1.
Ron said his ball club that won the World Series in 1986 stayed together till about 1988, and then they started slowly dismantling it with just a few of the pieces left. Dwight Gooden certainly, and Ron Darling. Howard Johnson's been around, and other than that, they've filled in all around them.
Well, they almost had to. Hernandez was getting older. Carter getting older. There's a drive. Way back. It might be. It is a home run for Dunston. And he hit his 5th home run of the year. And boy, McReynolds playing left field didn't even chase. He knew it was gone. And so did Dunston.
It was a hanging breaking ball by Ron Darling. RBI number 12 for Shawon Dunston. Ron Darling has given up his 5th home run on the 5th Dunston home run, and he disappears into the dugout, cutting the lead in half.
And boy, that is the 45th home run of the year for the Cubs. Here's Boskie now. Cubs trail 2-1. The Cubs have homered in 18 of their last 20 games. And during that time, they've hit 28 homers. There it is again. No doubt about it. Whoa, look out. He's going to hit the ball as far as he threw the bat. He'd be on with at least a single and maybe a double.
That shows respect that Ron Darling has for Shawn Boskie. He started him out with a breaking ball, then throws him a changeup. So he hasn't given him anything in the way of a fastball to look at so far. He said before the game that he realized that Boskie was a pretty good hitter. So he knew all about him before coming in.
2 balls and the strike. Well, Paul O'Neill of the Reds proved that he can hit home runs against other teams too besides the Cubs. Curveball a little bit high. He hit a 3-run homer in the 1st, and Hal Morris drove in another run with a triple. As the Reds scored 5 in the 1st, 1 in the 2nd against the Giants. Swung, and he struck him out. 1 away, 1 in. 3 strikeouts for Darling.
Howard Johnson in very close at 3rd for Doug DeCenzo to take away the bunt. But at least to this point, they're deep on the right side.
DeCenzo is retired on a nice play by Elster. His first time up. Watch Shawon Dunston swing on this home run. Here's a replay.
Off-speed pitch, a breaking ball out over the plate, and Shawon Dunston is a good breaking ball hitter when he makes them be strikes.
There's a drive. If it stays fair, it'll be gone. It might be. And it is a foul ball. Foul ball. Holy cow. I thought Terry Taylor was going to wave it fair at the last moment. It tailed off on the wrong side of the pole.
Here's another breaking ball. Darling gets it up. This one hugs the line all the way down. The only question is, would it stay fair long enough? And at the last instant, it goes in front of the pole into foul territory.
Boy, that's a shame. Missed a home run by an inch, maybe an eighth of an inch. Curveball low. DeCenzo hasn't made an error in 194 major league appearances. Ball. 3 balls and a strike.
This is a pitch that Doug has got to be selective with. You'd like to see him draw a few more bases on balls as a leadoff hitter. His on base percentage, .382.
He bounces out on a 3-1 pitch. The second baseman Miller just barely gets him 4-3 if you're scoring. Here's Sandberg.
Because of the configuration of this ballpark, you really can't tell what the wind is doing down on the field. And the flag says that it's blowing in at the Cub dugout, but it certainly didn't affect the ball that Shawon Dunston hit.
Now the delivery. Curveball low. Boy, Darling doesn't seem to have much velocity. 1 ball, no strikes. Swung and he missed. That evens it up. Sandberg has hit safely in 21 out of his last 23 games, batting .273. That must have been the split finger fastball that Darling throws.
Darling said he's using that to real good advantage this year. He's throwing about 20 curveballs a game, then mixes in the split finger, and will throw a pretty good sinker to go with it. He said early in his career he threw a slider, but when he got to Texas, they said forget about it. He hasn't been able to throw one since.
Now the pitch. Inside, 2-2. Mark Grace next. Ball low and outside. That's a 5th home run hit off Darling this year. 3-2. Dunston led off the inning with his home run to left. Three balls, 2 strikes. It up. Shortstop Elster's there. Makes the catch. 1 hit, 1 run. We go in the bottom of the 3rd. The Mets lead 2-1. Harry Carey back at the ballpark. We go into the bottom of the 3rd, and here's Vince Coleman. Maddox is 4th in the league now in strikeouts with 47. Gooden leads with 61. There's a base hit. Let it drop. Great try. Hey, he made the catch. Holy cow. What a remarkable catch. It didn't look like he had a chance. And he came from nowhere, diving and making a one-handed shoestring catch.
DeCenzo got a great break on this ball. Coleman takes it right off the ground, and here comes Doug. He times his leap perfectly. Full extension on the dive, takes it right off the grass, and what a play by DeCenzo. How about that?
There's another view of it.
Steve Ripley going out, and he's got a very good look. That's good hustle by Steve Ripley.
There's a strike called to Keith Miller, who started their 2-run inning in the 1st. DeCenzo, as we said earlier, narrowless streak. 1 ball, 1 strike. Keith Miller, a last-minute insertion at second base.
You have to take the bunt away from Miller. He's very fast. And in comes Salazar. He's not quite on the grass at third.
There it is. He's going to base hit.
I don't know why you don't play this man closer, Harry. Louis wasn't on the grass, and Miller saw it, laid it down. He's at first. Very good bunt, and Louis, not playing quite as close as he probably would have liked, has only one shot, and that's the bare hand. Anytime you do that, odds of throwing somebody out who runs like Miller are slim.
So they have a runner on first with one out. And here is Hubie Brooks. He's singled in the first. Curveball low and outside. Cardinals lead Pittsburgh 2-0 in the bottom of the fourth. Boston and Detroit, no score in the fourth.
Mike Cubbage as the coach at third. Tommy Spencer, the coach at first.
1 ball, no strikes. Throw over there. Tom Brenneman will be coming along at the end of this half inning. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Strike call. There's Jim Essian. That's Bob Scanlon with the Cub jacket, with the chart in the game. He's going to pitch tomorrow. He's made 3 fine. There he is right there. Greg Maddux standing up alongside of him. Scanlon has made 3 brilliant starts in a row for the Cubs. One ball, 1 strike. A high pop foul back out of play.
Hubie hit .266 last year for the Los Angeles Dodgers. He did hit 20 home runs and drove in 91 runs. Over the course of his career, he's always been known as a man that will knock in the clutch runs. He will hit the ball up the middle and take it to right center field. Periodic hand problems have really disturbed him during the course of his career.
Double play ball. Steps on second, throws the first for the double play. Dunston, the great. Harry Carey from Shea Stadium. We're at the end of 3 innings. The Mets lead the Cubs 2-1.
Along with our producer-director Arnie Harris and Steve Stone, I'm Tom Brenneman back at Shea Stadium in New York. 2-1 ball game. Ron Darling serves up the home run to Shawon Dunston. Shawon had a good night in the leadoff spot last night.
Shawn Boskie trying to settle down after a rocky start. Cubs in pretty good shape in this game because Ron Darling isn't known as a complete game pitcher. Shawon's starting to look a little better.
Shawon is looking very good. Had the 2 hits in last night's game. And only a couple of base hits in his last 29 coming into play tonight. I think Shawon was a little bit upset. Nothing major, but a little upset that he wasn't back in the leadoff spot again tonight. But a lot of that might have to do with the fact that you had a left-hander in Viola on the mound then. The right-hander in Ron Darling tonight.
I don't think Shawon Dunston is your ideal leadoff man. He's got some pop and will drive in some runs.
Race a fly ball left field. Shouldn't be any trouble for Kevin McReynolds. 1 out.
Let's take a look at the inning-ending double play one more time, and CarX will donate $100 to Cubs Care for Dunston's 3-6, 6-3 double play. And he pours it across to Mark Grace.
George Bell, a single into center field, leading off the Cubs' 2nd inning. But he was stranded right there as Dawson, Berryhill, and Salazar were retired by Darling. Darling, a graduate of Yale University. Plans to go to law school in the very near future. This is low and outside. Ball 1.
Jim Essien certainly doesn't know the club, but he was watching George Bell last night, and he noticed that George is looking for power most of the time, which is all well and good, but the batting average is down in the 230s, and he's a much better hitter than that. In spring training in RBI situations, he wasn't thinking long ball. He was thinking right field, center field. And I think if he starts again thinking like that, what he'll do is force the pitchers to once again come inside where he can hit the ball out of the park.
1 ball and 1 strike. Darling a breaking ball inside. Yeah, Bell came over from Toronto, of course, carrying a 286 lifetime average.
There you see the home runs with George Bell right behind the leaders, Mitchell and McGriff.
Ground ball, third base. Johnson, a long throw, 2 away.
If you've decided you're going to have a good year from the mound, you best change your name to Martinez. There's a double Martinez atop the leaderboard. Dennis Martinez with a 1.73 ERA and Ramon Martinez at 1.85. Both of them throwing the ball exceptionally well, and you can see Shawn Boskie talking it over with Jim Essien. Essien managed him at the minor league level, as he did 14 or 15 of these guys.
One of the few times as a manager in the last 2 games that Jim Essien has had a seat on the bench. He tends to put in a lot of miles walking up and down the length of that dugout. Jim Essien, 40 years young. There's a base hit into left by Dawson. 3rd hit of the game for the Cubs against Rod Darling. And with 2 out and 1 on, Damon Berryhill will come to the plate.
Toward the end of Jim Essien's career, he went to Miami in that independent team down there, and he wanted to hang on as a player. But he said it never really worked out for him. But about a third of the way through the year, the general manager went up to him and said, "I'd like to manage this team." He said, "I'll give it a try." That was 1985. That's where it all began for him. And here he is, the youngest manager in the major leagues.
And already a perfect winning percentage. Damon Berryhill looks at ball 1 low. Berryhill had his first major league home run against another man in this Mets rotation, whom the Cubs will not face in this series, but will see him at Wrigley Field next week. Right-hander David Cone.
Cubs are probably not too disappointed they're not seeing David Cone. He's got great stuff. I don't think you can face anybody in this rotation who doesn't throw the ball real well. They lead the major leagues in earned run average. So don't come into New York expecting any softies. They're just not around.
1 another count. Dawson 3 out of 4 in stolen base attempts this year. If it's fair, it's we're out of here, but it will bend foul. We have seen Damon Berryhill, Steve, do that so many times over the last 10 or 12 days. His best shots are all hit foul from the left side of the plate.
And anytime any hitter turns on a fastball, you usually see something off speed coming up the next pitch or 2. Many hitters, when they get in that groove of hitting the ball real hard but foul, either go to a heavier bat or try to close their stance. Damon has opened his stance to get a little more bat on the ball at the advice of Joe Altobelli, and you can see the open stance there.
1 ball and 1 strike. There goes Dawson. Breaking ball high. Throw to second by Cerrone. Not in time. Give Dawson his 4th stolen base of the year out of 5 attempts.
Credit Andre Dawson with some pretty good anticipation there. Because Berryhill turned on the ball, Andre was guessing that it was going to be an off-speed pitch, and it was a high breaking ball away from Cerrone. Andre misses it with the foot, comes back and gets it with a hand, and this is a tough ball to throw anybody out on because it's a slow hanging hook. Andre in easily at second.
2 balls, 1 strike. 2 down. Dawson the tying run at second base with the Cubs trailing here in the 4th inning. 2-1. Line drive right field. Brooks coming on. Will not get it. It's by him into right center. Dawson scores. And Berryhill ties things up with an RBI double for Damon. His 5th run knocked in.
If you're going to come in and try to get this ball, you've got to make sure if you don't get it, that you block it. And Hubie's not going to win any gold gloves in right field. Now he comes on. This effort right here of not getting down and blocking the ball is not going to endear him to Bud Harrelson. The stolen base works wonders for Andre Dawson and the Cubs. They tie it up at 2, and Damon Berryhill comes through with a big hit.
Luis Salazar, the batter. Louis grounded out to Kevin Elster to end the second inning. Strike 1. Rubber game of this 3-game series. The Mets won the first game 8-6. The Cubs get a complete game from Greg Maddux last night to win 5-2. It's 2-2 here in the 4th. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tommy Green, a no-hitter, in case you missed it earlier today, against the Montreal Expos. Green struck out 10 while walking 7. Here's a 1-1. Swing and a miss.
He probably figured there were some guys that he might have trouble getting out, so he just walked them and got out the rest of the guys. Not necessarily a bad idea. Green spent many years with the Atlanta Braves, and they loved his arm, and they tried to give him every opportunity, but finally gave up on him. And he seems to be coming of age with the Philadelphia Phillies. When we saw him, he looked pretty impressive in a relief role.
Got the win in that 16-inning game. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Salazar. Ground ball left side. Johnson charges. Throw is in time. The inning is over. 1 run, couple of base hits, 1 man left. We're in the middle of the 4th at Shea. Cubs and Mets tied at 2. Two ball game from Shea Stadium in New York. Bottom of the 4th inning, it'll be Howard Johnson, Kevin McReynolds, and Tim Tuffle against Shawn Boskie, who allowed a pair of runs in the 1st inning, but has only given up 1 base hit since, and that was a bunt single by Keith Miller with 1 out in the 3rd inning.
This is a big inning for Shawn because he fell behind. He's seen his team scramble back now. It's a brand new ball game, and he's got to hold down the middle of the Mets order and give his offense a chance again.
Johnson pulls it foul. Howard is hit with much more power from the left side of the plate. He has 107 home runs as a Met, batting left-handed. 42 from the right side.
Howard says that he's much more of a dead pull hitter as a right-hand hitter. But he likes the low ball from the left side, and he will hit it a little bit farther than he does from the right side.
Barely got a piece on the 1-2 pitch. Howard Johnson has never played for a team that finished under 500. It's not bad. Success seems to follow him wherever it may be he goes. He was part of a World Series championship team in Detroit. Again with the Mets here in '86. And the Mets won the Eastern Division in 1988. Pops it up. Foul ground. Salazar over, will run out of room.
If you believe the rumors, and I heard that the deal was pretty close but never consummated because of the dollars involved, Johnson was on his way to Seattle when Mark Langston was over there, and it appeared that they were going to lose Langston. Mets put together an overwhelming package, including Howard Johnson and Sid Fernandez. But because of the salaries at the time, and Seattle had different ownership than they have now, they turned it down. But can you imagine Howard Johnson hitting in that ballpark in Seattle with the power he has from both sides of the plate? That would have been quite a trade for the Mariners.
1 ball and 2 strikes, and Johnson rips it into right field, a base hit. Johnson's 2nd hit of the night. He knocked in a run in the 1st inning, stole a base, and now he's aboard to lead off the 4th.
Here's a situation, if you're Bud Harrelson, where you start thinking about the hit and run. McReynolds has yet to ground into a double play, but he does hit the ball hard, and this is a good double play situation. Johnson can run. He stole a base in the 1st inning, and Damon Berryhill threw the ball into center field.
Johnson 7 out of 10 in stolen base attempts this year. Kevin McReynolds, a fly ball into shallow right in the 1st inning. They had Brooks at 3rd, and the fly ball could not get him in. 2-2 pitch.
Batting average doesn't sound like much in the 240s, but Kevin McReynolds brought that batting average up from 167. He started off this year in horrible shape. Heard it from the fans here in New York. They booed him all the time. Talked about trades perhaps and moving Jeffries out to the outfield, but now he's hitting the ball again.
Here's a pitch and a swing and a miss. Boskie jumps in front, no balls, 2 strikes. Yeah, McReynolds took off on that West Coast road trip when the Mets came back with a 5-4 record. He hit in 8 straight games with a batting average in San Diego, Los Angeles, and San Francisco at 460. Solid player. Fly ball, center field. DeCenzo is there waiting. 1 out. Johnson stays at first base. Very surprised Johnson wasn't running there.
Well, I think he pretty much has to run here because the one thing that Tuffle can't do is run. He's a pretty decent hitter, but he runs worse than McReynolds. And I would be surprised if you don't see him running here. Now, if you're on the mound, knowing a situation like this is developing, you've got to give Johnson your best move at first base. Try to pick him off before the first pitch.
Shawn already looking over that way. Tuffle ended the first inning on a fly ball down the left field line. Bell caught it against the wall and foul ground. Now there's the move.
Pretty good move by Boskie. He's got very quick feet on the mound. I talked with Tommy Spencer, the first base coach, and he was talking about Vince Coleman and what he keys on. And he said he's got a mental picture of every pitcher in the league, and he will key off different things. The shoulder, the back leg, sometimes even the head.
Swing and a miss on another breaking ball from Boskie.
Shawn came very close to balking that time, and he's got to be careful because he never had the 1-second pause. And I think if he tries to get away with it again, I believe they're going to call him on it.
2-2 ball game. We're in the bottom of the 4th inning. 1 out, 1 on. Mets 2 runs in the first. Dunston a home run in the 3rd. And an RBI double with 2 down by Damon Berryhill scored Andre Dawson, who had a 2-out single and stole second base. Another throw over to first. And again, Johnson is back safely. Shawn Boskie has never faced the New York Mets up until tonight. Tim Tuffle, one of the lone remnants of the World Championship team of 1986. Part of a platoon over at second base in those days with Wally Backman. Gooden still around, Darling, Sid Fernandez. Kevin Elster only played in 10 games that year. Howard Johnson played in 80.
Then the wholesale changes. The Mets almost completely turned over.
The 0-1, and it's in the dirt. Well, you think about some of the players that played on that team. Many people forget that Kevin Mitchell was a player on that ball club. Wonder if they'd like to have him back.
He was a good solid hitter then, but he wasn't the same Kevin Mitchell that's swinging the bat for San Francisco. I got to believe this is a pitch that Johnson's running. Let's see if Jim Essien will call a pitch out. We don't know his tendencies yet in that department.
Boskie keeping a close eye on Johnson. Jim Essien going through the signs. Berryhill glancing from the catcher spot.
Jim caught me, and I remember him as a pretty good defensive catcher, but he didn't have the Johnny Bench type arm, so he could appreciate a pitch out in a running situation.
1 ball and 1 strike, and there is the pitch out, and Johnson not doing a thing over at first base. See, Stoney, you already have a read on the guy, and we're not even 2 games in. It's the first time that you broadcast a game which Jim Essien has managed. How in the world do you do it?
Well, see, when he was a catcher, I could shake him off on a pitch out. But now he's the manager, and Boskie can't do that.
2 balls, 1 strike. Johnson may be off here. Boskie thinking along the same lines, throws over to first base. Think about every Met base runner has a pretty good idea about Shawn Boskie's move already, because he's thrown over there quite a bit in this game tonight. People at the plate, 2-2 ball game. 1 out, 1 on. And Johnson goes. Pitch out again, and Johnson will try and race back to first. The throw, and they got it. No, they missed it.
It was a bad slide by Johnson that got him back in at first. Mark Grace laid the tag down, and the slide came up short initially. And Johnson kind of hopped over Mark Grace. Terry Tata made the call. And credit Terry Tata for not taking anything for granted. Berryhill on the pitch out gets it down quickly. Howard Johnson is hung out to dry. Now watch Mark Grace. He's got the ball early. Johnson slides but comes up short, and Grace never tags him. Pretty good call right there by Terry Tata. Nobody arguing, so you have to figure that he didn't get him.
Mark not saying a word over there at first base. Obviously upset with himself, and Johnson definitely headed off here. 2 pitch outs in a row. The first time Johnson wasn't moving. The second time they had him out to dry and could not get him. Jim Essen showing some confidence in Shawn Boskie, allowing him to go 3-1 against a man like Tuffle who wears out fastballs. That's a strike. And they get him this time at second base.
And credit Shawn Boskie with repeated moves to first base to shorten the lead of Howard Johnson. Damon Berryhill got a breaking ball. Johnson gets no break at all at first. Good pitch by Boskie and a good throw by Damon Berryhill. It's right there, and Sandberg waiting for Johnson to arrive, making sure he doesn't miss the tag this time.
Damon Berryhill had a tough series here in New York. Mets ran wild against him in the series opener. Here's a 3-2 to Tuffle, and he got him on strikes. Good inning right there for Boskie. No runs, a hit, none left. Shawn is fan 3. We go to the 5th, tied at 2. Head for the 5th inning at Shea Stadium. 2-2 game, and we're going to isolate here on Howard Johnson.
You see no jump at all, and that's largely due to Shawn Boskie continually throwing over to first base. Johnson is a good base runner, and they had him out by a good 5 steps.
Shawon Dunston leading off an inning for the second time tonight. You see what he did in the 3rd. Home run way back into left field. For Dunston, that was his 5th round tripper of the season. Ron Darling on the mound, and a pitch. He was swinging for it again. While we have this moment, let's pause for station identification on the Chicago Cubs television network.
This is WGN TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Dunston will be followed by Shawn Boskie, and then the leadoff man Doug DeCenzo in the 5th inning against Darling. Here's a pitch. Tries to bunt it. First base side. Miller underhands to Tuffle, 1 away.
It's a very good idea by Shawon Dunston. It was bunted too hard. What you're trying to do is just barely get it by the pitcher. You want the second baseman to have to come in and get this ball. As it turned out, Miller could stay back because Shawn gets a little too much into it, and he's able to make the play. So good idea, bad execution. But it gives Darling a little something to think about the next time Dunston is up.
Shawn Boskie has a home run this season. 2-hopper to Johnson, who backs up. Long throw. In time. 2 up, 2 down. If you're just tuning in with us, the Mets a couple of runs in the 1st inning. RBI by Howard Johnson. And then a Damon Berryhill throwing error into center field allowed Hubie Brooks to score. Dunston the home run to chop the lead in half in the 3rd inning. And Berryhill with 2 men out. After Dawson had a 2-out single, stole second. Damon knocked him in to tie things up.
Doug DeCenzo taking a lot of time. He wants to make sure that Shawn Boskie is not winded when he goes to the mound. And so far, a very quick inning for Ron Darling.
Darling, until last season, had 7 consecutive years of winning 10 or more games. A lot of people felt he was misused last season when he was sent to the bullpen. The critics really got on Bud Harrelson when, in a huge series late in the year against the Pittsburgh Pirates, when the Mets were battling with the Bucks for first place in the East, when Harrelson started a rookie right-hander, Julio Valero, instead of Ron Darling. Darling's won a lot of games in a Mets uniform. He'll be at 103 more wins.
Looking at his career, he's usually the forgotten man in this rotation. You've got Dwight Gooden, you have Frank Viola. You don't hear much about Ron Darling, and yet there's not many guys around the major leagues that are 30 games over 500. That is quite an accomplishment.
Had his best season in '88 when he won 17 and lost only 9. DeCenzo went too far, strike 3, and a 1-2-3 frame for Darling, his first since the first. We're in the middle of 5th, and it's a 2-2 affair. The final game of this 6-game road trip. Wrapping it up at Shea Stadium here in Flushing Meadows, New York. With a win tonight, the Cubs would finish this trip 3 wins, 3 losses. Drop 2 of 3 in Philadelphia. They've split the first 2 here in New York. Latter third of Harrelson's order, Cerrone, Elster, Darling. First pitch swinging is Cerrone, and Dawson coming in. 1 away.
We want to give you the address once again for our Any Questions segment. It's care of Chicago, WGN, 2501 Bradley Place, Chicago, Illinois, 60618, for kids' sake. And the Any Questions question is a 2-parter from Marty Knoll. Marty Knoll of Arlington Heights wants to know how many cigars I smoked during the regular season in the booth, and how old is Harry?
Now that's a pair of gems right there.
Well, they're pretty easily answered. I smoke just 1 cigar, Marty. It's a big one. It lasts all season long. It's tough to get it in my briefcase, but we try to do it nonetheless.
Carries it in a bat bag.
I don't know how old Harry is. However, I do know that when he started broadcasting, they only used 2 bases. So things have changed a lot since Harry initially came to the booth.
Well, there are those that say that Harry did the play-by-play of the Spanish-American War. We don't know if that's true or not. I mean, can you imagine? It really is amazing. I mean, all kidding aside, the fact that Harry is now broadcasting his 47th year of Major League Baseball. Absolutely amazing. There's ball 4 to Kevin Elster.
Equally as amazing is his son and grandson are also broadcasting. I've got to really work on it, Tom. By the time, if I ever do get married, my grandson is broadcasting, we're going to be, could be 2 centuries from now.
But for some reason, Stoney, the way you keep yourself so fit, who knows? You may withstand the test of time like none other.
Ron Darling in a bunt situation. That'll bring Luis Salazar in from third. You have to coordinate between the pitcher and the first baseman here, because Mark Grace doesn't want to release and have Boskie go to first with a pickoff move.
Grace comes in from first, and it's run and foul.
Mark released a little too early there, and a good base runner at first, and Elster is a decent base runner. He could have gotten at least 4 or 5 more steps on the lead. For whatever reason, now Grace has a word with Boskie. I don't think you can release that early. And if a pitcher does see that, he's got to step off the mound, because a man at first can get too big a jump. And I believe that's what Tommy Spencer is talking to Kevin Elster about right now. If the first baseman goes, you got to get a much bigger lead, and you can easily steal second.
He ought to take off right now. And Boskie steps off the rubber. Oh, there's no doubt about it. Grace has taken off long before Shawn even throws it.
Well, I don't know if the Cubs have a play where Ryne Sandberg goes in back of Kevin Elster. But let's see what's on the mind of Mark Grace here.
Grace comes in, pitch out.
Not a bad idea, but a heads-up base running play by Elster. Apparently they're trying to force Elster to go, and that's the reason why Grace broke in so early.
Damon Berryhill turns his head to the left, glancing in at number 41, the new Cubs manager, Jim Essien. 1-1 pitch. Perfect bunt. give Darling a sacrifice with Elster going to second base. His first sacrifice bunt of the year. And the Mets have the go-ahead run at second base with the leadoff man, Vince Coleman, coming up.
If you can retire Coleman in this situation, it's a pretty good situation for the Cubs because Coleman will not lead off the 6th inning.
Center fielder Vince Coleman.
Anytime you can stop him from leading off an inning, you're in pretty good shape against the Mets.
Coleman 0 for 2 tonight. He struck out in the 1st inning and was robbed of a base hit on a splendid play by Dougie DeCenzo in center field. That came in the 3rd. Salazar in on the grass at 3rd base, and Coleman looks at ball 1. Mets 2, Cubs 2. Bottom half of the 5th. 2 men out. Kevin Elster at second base. Coleman leads the major leagues with 27 stolen bases. Hit sharply, but Sandberg there. The inning is over. No runs, no hits, 1 left. Mets have only stranded 2 through the first 5. 2-2 game. Others compete in a grueling bicycle race in the Rocky Mountains. Dances with Wolves star Kevin Costner appears in American Flyers tonight at 11:30 on Chicago's very own Channel 9. You're looking at the Whitestone Bridge, which connects the boroughs of the Bronx and the Queens, 2 of the 5 boroughs here in the Big Apple. Flight crew of about 8. And along with Steve Stone, I'm Tom Brenneman. 2-2 game as Sandberg leads off the Cubs 6th. Rhino 0 for 2 has struck out and popped to short. The 1-0 delivery. Ground ball in the hole. Elster backhands. And smooth as silk, Elster can pick him up and mow him down.
So where'd you wind up last night after the game?
No, I got to tell you, I've never been a big fan of New York City. And I mean, I've said it dozens of times. But I must say, last night, had some old fraternity brothers from Ohio University. And they live here in the area. And we got into the Upper East Side, up around 83rd, 85th Street, and 2nd. I mean, a great area. I saw a side of New York that I've never seen before and really enjoyed it.
You must have had 50,000 people in your fraternity, because every city we go to, it's old fraternity brothers.
So about
there.
3 or 4. There's always a few around. The majority of them come from this part of the country. So particularly up here and in Philadelphia. Very big fraternity.
Big.
Mark Grace to the right side. Tuffle, Darling, 2 down.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Chicago National League Ball Club, which has the right of approval of the announcers and is intended solely for the private, non-commercial use of our audience. Any publication, reproduction, retransmission, or the use of the pictures, descriptions, and accounts of this game without the express written consent of the Chicago National League Ball Club is prohibited.
Since allowing the 2-out run-tying double to Damon Berryhill in the 4th inning, Ron Darling has retired 6 straight. George Bell has one of the Cubs' 4 base hits. He had a single in the center field in the 2nd, and he's grounded to Elster at shortstop. Boy, Kevin Elster, you watch him play every day, and you have to wonder if there can be many better at playing short than that young man.
When Howard Johnson moved to short, he made 12 errors. And Kevin Elster does a lot to solidify this defense, which is not near the top in the National League.
A lot closer, in fact, to the bottom.
Well, they realized that they had a lot of guys playing out of position when they started this year. Hubie's not really a right fielder, and Vince Coleman is not really a center fielder, but they figured with their pitching and their ability to score runs, it would be enough.
Fastball well inside. 3-0 now to George Bell.
The only controversy remaining in New York, at least for this week, is the who's going to play second controversy. Greg Jeffries has got the flu. He's going to be there normally. But a lot of people on his pitching staff, notably Ron Darling, would like to see Tommy Herr there.
3-0 to George Bell. And a strike called. In fact, Darling had some things to say about Jeffries playing second base out on the West Coast. He wants that man right there, Tommy Herr, at second when he pitches. Darling last night comes out with a prepared statement as Bell rips one into left field for a 2-out single, which said he will not talk to the media anymore, that some of those quotes were taken out of context, that it was blown way out of proportion. But the ironic part of the whole thing was, here Darling, a Yale graduate, misspells Greg Jeffries' first and last name every time it's referred to in the statement. Now, you can read between the lines any way you want, but something doesn't add up. Two-out single by Bell gives way to Dawson. Andre 1 for 2. Singled with 2 down in the 4th inning. Stole a base, which proved to be very large because Berryhill knocked him in.
Andre's thinking long ball, and he would love to see Darling hang another breaking ball like he did both to Berryhill and to Dunston. This park is very easy to hit the ball out of down the line and to left center field. It's only 371 to left center, 358 toward the bullpen, 338 down the line. So it does jump out of here. It's 410 to straightaway center. That's really the only spot where you have a lot of room to work with.
0-1 to count. Bell at first base. 2 down. 2-2 game here in the 6th. And a breaking ball, Dawson way out in front of.
2 very good pitches by Ron Darling. He didn't have that curveball last year. And the bone chips that were taken out of his elbow stopped him from virtually any mobility he had in the right arm. But he said this year he's a lot stronger and he can throw the curveball about 20 times a game. And those were 2 dandies he just threw to Dawson.
Dawson in a hole, no balls, 2 strikes. Darling straightens up on the mound. And here comes a pitch. Fastball up and in. Darling has 4 strikeouts in the night. Dawson has had a solid year. Extra base hits only behind Felix Jose of the Cardinals. Of course, Dawson tied for the team lead in runs batted in with 25, and only 1 home run behind Bell for the team high in that category. But Dawson has maintained a very high average along with knocking long balls and driving in runs. There goes Bell. Pitch in the dirt. Throw to second. And he is out of there. I don't know about that call. Bell doesn't either. No runs a hit. None left. Bottom of the 6th coming up. We'll look at that replay when we come back. 2-2 game. That's 2. As we head to the bottom of the 6th, here's another look.
Take a look at the slide of George Bell. And that's where he tags him. The foot's not on the bag, and Steve Ripley, as it turns out, makes a pretty decent call. Looked like he was in there, but the front foot never got to the bag.
So at least right there, the bat pretty much taken right out of Dawson's hands.
Yeah, I'm not so sure that I would have run with George Bell in that he hasn't attempted a stolen base this year. He's not particularly fast, and Andre is one of your hottest hitters.
Leadoff man Keith Miller, 2 out of 2 on the night. Can't get the breaking ball count. Even at 1 ball, 1 strike, Miller will be followed by the right fielder Hubie Brooks and then third baseman Howard Johnson.
After the 3 straight singles in the first inning, Shawn Boskie has really settled down. Just 2 singles given up after that first.
Shawn has walked 1 while fanning 3. Foul on a play. Cubs and the Mets have always played one another very tough. Normally extremely exciting ball games. And another good one here tonight. Boskie against Ron Darling. Count even 2-2.
Cubs will go home and play 16 of the next 19 at home. And that's good news because they're just 8-14 on the road, 11-6 in the friendly confines. 2-2 pitch. Outside. Full count to Miller.
Cubs will open that 6-game homestand tomorrow afternoon against Montreal. First time the Cubs have seen the Expos this season. It'll be Bob Scanlon going against second-year right-hander Mark Gardner. Gardner has just come back from a trip on the disabled list following surgery in the offseason. Gardner last year, he pitched some of his best games against the Cubs. Scanlon will make his 4th major league start. 3-2. And it's pulled fair down the left field line. Miller with good speed will go into second base with a double. They're going to make him stop there because a fan reached down and interfered with the ball in play. And Bell, a little bit upset about it, hurls the ball away without the fan getting it.
I don't know how Bill Hahn saw that ball. It looked like it just took foul at the last instant. But he said it was fair, and we'll take a look at it, slow it down, and watch it a little more closely. Line drive down the line past Salazar.
Will be subject to ejection from Shea Stadium.
Looks foul to me. And Bill Hahn says it was fair. Once again, no argument. I don't think Salazar was in a real good position to see it. Bill Hahn said it was good enough, and we'll watch it again and slow it down. Very close. If it did go fair, it hit the outside of the foul line.
So Miller, the go-ahead run. His 3rd double of the season. Hubie Brooks, the batter. It's low, ball 1. Some activity now getting started down in the Cubs bullpen.
Hubie's got to hit the ball to the right side. That's his job in this situation as Les Lancaster gets ready in a hurry.
2-2 game here in the 6th. Leadoff double by Miller.
And apparently made a pretty good catch on that one. And you saw Hubie try to inside out that ball. Most pitchers will try to go in this situation. And Hubie, one of the best of them at pushing the ball to the right side.
1 ball, 1 strike. And Brooks takes a strike. He thought it was ball 2. Hubie not happy with that call from Jerry Crawford. Hubie Brooks, his only year with the Dodgers. Last season knocked in 91 runs. They traded him for left-hander Bobby Ojeda. Brooks has always been a big RBI man. 1-2 delivery. Well inside.
Now it's against the book, but Hubie Brooks is a smart hitter. I'd like to see Shawn throw a good hard slider low and away because Brooks is probably expecting the ball in.
2-2 pitch. And it's pulled into left field, base hit. They're waving Weller around, and Bell drops the ball. Brooks goes into second. Scoring is Miller. And give the Mets a 3-2 lead.
Goes as an error on George Bell. RBI for Hubie Brooks. This is a hanging slider, and it stayed up. Shawn didn't get much on it. George Bell comes in to make the play at the plate, but forgets the ball. Miller scores easily. The Cubs out of a double play situation, and the tie is broken by Hubie Brooks.
Second error of the game against the Cubs. Maryhill biding a little time, going out to visit with Shawn Boskie. Now you got the Hammers coming up. Johnson with McReynolds on deck. Keith Miller, a leadoff double down the left field line, scores on a single by Brooks. He goes to second on the error by Bell. Johnson a perfect night. Knocked in a run, stolen a base. Maryhill can't find it. On his way to third, Brooks to throw, and they did not get it.
The Cubs look like they got a break. That one might have hit off Jerry Crawford and stayed right there instead of going to the screen. And Damon just lost sight of the ball. We'll watch it again. Gets by Berryhill. Damon has some problems locating it. Tries to get whatever he can into the throw, and they just miss Hubie.
Assume that's a wild pitch.
I would have to think so.
Runner at third. Salazar in. Here's a pitch. Johnson pops it up. Foul ground. It will drop in amongst the spectators. Count of 1 ball and 1 strike.
Now they give him a pass ball, and that'll be pass ball number 5 for Damon Berryhill.
They're rocking and rolling here in Shea. Brooks knocks in the go-ahead run here in the 6th. He's at third. 1-1 to Johnson. Fastball inside. 2-1.
Keith Miller making the most of a surprise start. Tommy Herr was penciled in, but he came up with back spasms. And Keith Miller is 3 for 3, and he's been in the middle of everything for the Mets.
2 balls, 1 strike. And it's popped up. This might be playable for Salazar. It is. Brooks remains at third base. Howard Johnson very upset going back to the Mets dugout.
Now I think you have to bring the infield in and try to cut off the run. And I think that's what Jim Essien is going to do. In at all 4 positions.
So the infield in against a man who makes solid, hard contact. Kevin McReynolds. He's 0 for 2 tonight. Fly to right, fly to center. Boskie out of the stretch. Strike 1. Only 1 final from the National League earlier today. Tommy Green, the Philadelphia right-hander, a no-hitter at Olympic Stadium in Montreal. Only the 2nd no-hitter in that ballpark's history. The other came by Charlie Lee in 1981. Here's the 0-1 pitch. Swinging a foul ball. Boskie in front. 0-2. McReynolds had a chance with Brooks at third base back in the 1st inning. And Brooks could not score on a fly ball to shallow right. Infield in a few steps. No balls, 2 strikes to McReynolds. Brooks at third, 1 out. Dunston goes to first. And Boskie 2/3 of the way home. And the fans are going to lay it on McReynolds because he laid it on them a couple of weeks ago in the paper.
One thing you want to avoid during the course of your career is aggravating the fans, because they come out every night and they can make life very unpleasant for you. And that's what they're doing here with Kevin McReynolds. They've talked many times about a trade that opens left field for Greg Jeffries. But talking with the Met brass, they said they have no intention of moving Jeffries to the outfield. They said he hasn't played there. Asking him to do that in the middle of a championship season is a bit much. So whether they move McReynolds or not, Jeffries looks to be at second base to stay.
All right, 2 down. Brooks still at third, and here's Tuffle. He looks at ball 1. Tuffle 0 for 2. Fly to left has struck out.
The man that everybody talks about getting more playing time is Mark Carrion, who's just 6 for 10 with 3 home runs and 4 RBIs as a pinch hitter, and he can't break into the lineup.
I remember Carrion last year against the Cubs. He absolutely tore him up.
He's had a great run as a pinch hitter. Alejandro Pena throwing in the bullpen.
Pena appeared in last night's game. John Franco, the ace out of that Mets bullpen. Fouled straight back. 1 ball and 1 strike. The Mets have taken the lead here in the 6th inning. Elsewhere around baseball, the Dodgers 2-0 at the Dome in the 7th. Cardinals 3, Pittsburgh 1. Felix Jose knocked in a run in that game. Paul O'Neill, home run number 9. The Giants losing again. They're about to be swept by Cincinnati. 1-1 pitch. Foul ball. Over in the American League, one other game in the National League, Atlanta, trailing 3-0 earlier, has come back to take a 4-3 lead at Fulton County Stadium. In the American League, Boston in front of Detroit, 2-1 there in the 6th at Tiger Stadium. Cleveland in the 2nd, trailing Milwaukee by a pair. The White Sox will play at Oakland later tonight. And the Texas Rangers won their 10th in a row earlier today, downing Minnesota 10-6. 10 straight for Texas.
That'll take a little of the heat off Bobby Valentine, who was experiencing some heat early in the year.
In that ball game, Kirby Puckett had his second 6-hit game of his career. Went 6 for 7. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and Boskie, a marvelous job getting out of a big-time jam. But the Mets break the deadlock. A run, a hit, 2 hits, an error, a man left. Go to the 7th, 3-2 game.
Carry with Steve Stone and Tom Brenneman. As we go in the top of the 7th, the Mets are out in front again, 3-2. Tonight's designated butt batter is Paul Cavallari from Littleton, Colorado. He has a chance to win $100 immediately and a chance also at sharing in a $10,000 bonus pool to be awarded at the end of the season. So good luck, Paul. Paul Cavallari from Littleton, Colorado. There's the pitch a little bit outside. Dawson leading it off in the top of the 7th. Now the pitch. Fastball in there, a strike call. Dawson 4th in the league in total bases. Will Clark leading, tied with McGriff. Oh, boy, I tell you, Ron Darling's really done a job on Dawson so far.
Darling's made his fastball into 2 or 3 pitches by using the same delivery but varying speeds quite a bit.
There's a line drive hit hard, but right at McReynolds in left. Dawson hit that ball on the nose. So he's 1 out of 3. And here's Berryhill, who doubled, tying up the ball game in the 4th. 3-2 in favor of the Mets. Now ready? Fastball wide.
Howard Johnson over very close to the line at 3rd, which is somewhat surprising for Damon Berryhill because he's shown to be very much a pull hitter from the left side, but they want to take away the 2-base hit late in the game with a 1-run lead.
The Dodgers leading at Houston 2-0 in the bottom of the 8th. There's Rick Sutcliffe. 1 ball, no strikes. 1 and he missed. And that evens it up, a ball and a strike.
Darling hasn't shown the good fastball very often, but he really popped one to Andre Dawson, and that was a very good fastball to Damon Berryhill.
There's a high fly ball, left field, gonna be caught. And McReynolds grabs it easily. 2 out. Here's Salazar. Boy, that McGriff of the San Diego Padres, a real hot hitter. 5th in the league, hitting .331. Tied for the league lead in homers with Kevin Mitchell with 10. He's 5th in RBIs with 27. Will Clark leads with 34. Salazar had a good cut, fouls it back. One ball, 1 strike. McGriff's also among the leaders in multi-hit games.
There's Dave Magadan, who's still suffering the effects of the flu, so he's out of the lineup tonight.
One ball, one strike. Curveball high and inside. McGriff is third in runs scored.
Mark Carrion looking on. Pinch hitter Deluxe.
Ball. 3 balls and a strike. 2 out. Shawon Dunston on deck. He wants him. And Salazar is on. And Dunston now with a runner at first, 2 away.
The outfield will play a little deeper than normal, trying to cut off anything in the alleys and make sure that Salazar does not score in a double. They are deep all the way around.
That base on balls was the first of the night given up by Darling. Salazar, not exceptionally fast, average runner. Cincinnati beat the Giants, who are now 16 games under 500. 6-2 tonight. Bounced and fouled into the stand. 0-1 the count. Two men are out. 3-2 Mets.
Alejandro Pena now up and throwing in the bullpen for the Mets. Darling has not completed a game this year.
Darling working slowly. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Man, make that no balls, 1 strike, 2 out. Again, he steps off the rubber. The count. Evens it up a ball and a strike. The Reds have beaten the Giants 6-2. Paul O'Neill hit a 3-run homer for the Reds. Uribe hit one for the Giants. The top of the 7th. One ball, 1 strike. Wild pitch. There goes a runner down to second base. A base hit now would tie up the ball game.
It's the 4th wild pitch of the year for Ron Darling, and he leads the staff in that department. The Mets only have 11 as a team. Rick Cerrone will be coming right at you. He reaches out, but he can't get the body in front of this ball. Finally does locate it, but not before Salazar goes to second, and that's going to prompt a meeting at the mound.
Joe Johnson, the third baseman, is in there along with Rick Cerrone, talking to Ron Darling.
Well, now you've got first base open, and it presents a different situation, because you do have Boskie up next. Depends on the pinch hitter you want to face.
Chico Walker coming out.
And that'll be the decision. If you want to throw something close to the plate, perhaps you might get an anxious Dunston. But so far, no trip to the mound. Harrelson figures that Darling is a veteran. He's going to let him go it himself.
Mike Cubbage, the third base coach, next to Bud Harrelson there. 2 balls and the strike. Swung and he missed. Dunston homered his first time up. Bounced out the next time. The Cubs have only 5 hits. The Mets 7. Two balls, 2 strikes. Line drive, it is going to be missed by Brooks. 1 run is in. And here goes Dunston around second. He's on his way to third. He rounds third, but he's going to hold up. This is a tie ball game. Hubie Brooks closed in on the ball, but it looked like a hit off the heel of the glove or something. And this game is tied up.
A couple of misplays tonight by Hubie Brooks in right field.
Watch it again. Line drive.
Dunston takes the ball out away from him, and on comes Brooks. Now the ball lands in front of him, but you've got to block this ball, especially if you're not going to get it or come close to it. He put the glove down, but the ball hit about 3 or 4 inches in front of him. And for the second time tonight, he fails to knock it down, and Dunston at third.
Watch it, it bounces just in front of his glove. I was afraid he was going to make a great catch. And the ball skipped by him. And the center fielder, Vince Coleman. Good thing he's as fast as he is. He got that ball back in a hurry. Or Dunston may have gotten an inside the park home run. Bud Harrelson's going to make a double switch. And we're going to have a new pitcher coming in for the Mets. We'll tell you more about him following this message. Darling is out of this ball game, and Alejandro Pena, who was in the ball game yesterday, takes over. The lead run for the Cubs is at third base. Maybe he can make a wild pitch.
Alejandro Pena has a 1.65 ERA, and this is 13th appearance. 16 in the third innings, 9 hits. He has not made a wild pitch this year. Very frustrated Ron Darling, who threw a good game. Dave Magadan comes in at first base. The flip-flop batting order of Bud Harrelson. If you've got defensive problems, and the Mets certainly do have that, it is very difficult to hide them over the course of a close ball game. And Hubie Brooks has had a couple of rough spots in right field. And that's the Achilles heel of this team. They just don't pick up the baseball very well. And it could come back to haunt him before this season is over.
Now Chico Walker apparently is going to be the pinch hitter. There's Ron Darling. He pitched a fine ball game, but he made the only base on balls he gave up in the 7th inning, and that's the run that ties up the ball game. We're going to replay Shawon Dunston's 3-base hit, which Brooks could not reach.
You've got to get your body in front of this ball, and for the second time tonight, Hubie Brooks didn't. If you come on to try to make the play, eventually you'll realize that you can't make the play and you have to block it. Brooks has been unable to do that.
Chico Walker. Fastball is high. Walker is a pinch hitter. Is 6 out of 15. Not bad. The lead run at third. Strike call, that evens the count. Chico thought that pitch was high.
Pete Shorrock loosening up in the bullpen. Very impressive left-hander. Throws the ball about 88 with good control.
1-1 pitch. Swung late. And he's in the hole now, 1-2. Game tied 3-3.
Boskie pitched out of a couple of nasty jams, going 6 innings, giving up 3 runs on 7 hits.
That evens the count. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Walker batting for Boskie. Dunston, the leading run at third. 2 balls, 2 strikes. High, ball 3. Doug DeCenzo would be next. Three and 2 out. Game tied 3-3. Dunston down the line. Ball 4 inside. And Walker gets a base on ball. Last night, Pena came in, pitched 1 2/3 innings, allowed 2 hits and a run.
Chico's a pretty good base runner, and they might want to put some pressure on Rick Cerrone, who doesn't throw particularly well. And that's exactly what the infield is going to meet about. What they're going to do if Chico Walker does take off. Walker is 2 for 2 in the stolen base department. And Cerrone wants to talk with Pena, as well as everybody else, about where he's going to throw the ball.
Darling hasn't moved from that spot in the dugout. And he looks a little forlorn. An intense competitor. He pitched a fine ball game, and so did Boskie. Here is the Senzo, 0 for 3. Fouls the first pitch back. The Senzo earlier in the ball game, in the third, missed a home run down the right field line by no more than a couple of inches.
It was a nice thing that Jerry Crawford did for Rick Cerrone. He took that foul tip off his left shoulder, and Jerry walked halfway out there to give Rick Cerrone a chance to get that shoulder loosened up again.
0-1 the count. Strike 2 called over the outside corner.
Now 0-2. You might see Chico Walker take off.
And now Cerrone is pointing to Alejandro Pena.
He's telling him if he breaks before you come set or just after you come set, step off the rubber. You don't want to balk, and you want to keep your eye on Shawon Dunston at third if you're on the mound.
Runners first and third. Breaks his contact with the rubber. 0-2 the count. DeCenzo. Game tied 3-3. Outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That's the spot he's been aiming for, that outside corner on DeCenzo. One ball, 2 strikes. Chico Walker leadoff first. Struck him out to retire the side. Fastball down the middle. 1 run, 1 hit, and 1 left. We go in the bottom of the 7th, all tied up at 3. Harry Carey back in the ballpark. We're going in the bottom of the 7th. And Les Lancaster comes in to pitch for the Cubs. The game all tied up at 3. Cerrone leading it off.
Les is out for the 16th time, an 0-1 record, a 4.15 ERA.
Curveball low and outside. Cerrone 0 for 2 tonight.
Cerrone's been a big addition to this team. He came over as a free agent from the New York Yankees, where he hit .302 last year.
Good fastball in there, a strike call. Let's pause here for identification.
This is WGN TV Chicago, America's #1 sports station.
Swings, fouls it off. Ron Sandow. Informed is a Terry O'Brien and Stacy Biederman, good friends of his, of announcer engagement. Well, good luck and much happiness to both of them. 2-2 pitch. Bouncing ball. There's a throw. He's going to be safe. The ball was not hit hard.
I don't think Cerrone would have to leave for a pinch runner. We'll have to see what's on the mind of Bud Harrelson. This ball just barely got by Les Lancaster, and Sandberg's got a shot at it. But the off-balance throw doesn't get there in time, and the head-first dive by Cerrone. Now, bear in mind, for you youngsters, you get to first base much more quickly if you don't dive, if you stay on your feet. Plus, you open yourself up to a world of hand problems and a jammed shoulder by making a dive like this. But apparently Cerrone is going to stay in the game, and that's very surprising.
And now here is the shortstop, Kevin Elster. Fastball a bit inside, and he gave no hint of bunting. Magadan would be next. Elster bounced down and walked. Strike call evens up the count. Oh, for a double play ball here. There's Jim Essien, the Cubs manager. A ball and a strike. Magadan, fine hitter. A high pop fly coming back out of play into the stand. He's ahead of him now. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Magadan didn't play last night. Was able to dress tonight. 1 ball, 2 strikes on Elster. Little bit away. 2-2.
Pretty good slider by Les Lancaster, and he just missed. Him and Berria looking over at Jim Essien, perhaps getting some help on the pitch selection in this situation.
Two balls, 2 strikes. Struck him out. Good slider. 1 away, and here's Magadan.
Big pitch by Les Lancaster. That one diving low and away, and Elster couldn't check his swing. And that is a very good slider.
Remember, tomorrow afternoon, the Cubs will be at Wrigley Field. Bob Scanlon will be pitching against the Montreal Expos. Game time, 2:20. Saturday night, 7:05. Sunday afternoon, 1:20. Different starting times each day and night. Low and outside, ball one. The Cardinals are pounding the Pirates 7-1 in the bottom of the 8th.
Magadan had a big year last year. Hit .328, drove in 72 runs, but he's off to a very slow start this year. And that's what the career numbers look like against the Cubs.
Strike called over the outside corner. Magadan 1 out of 4 in the series. Drove in 2 runs in the first game. 1 ball, 1 strike. He's not fast. Low and outside. 2 balls and the strike.
Magadan's grounded into 1 double play this year. And this is a situation that cries out for 2 because you've got 2 men involved who don't run particularly well. Shawon and Magadan.
Vince Coleman will be next. Lancaster steps off the rubber, goes to the rosin bed.
By not putting in a faster runner for Shawon, it gives the Cubs an advantage because Mark Grace can play in back of him. It's a lot easier to catch a ground ball to the right side.
Hey, swings and he misses. And the count is evened up. 2-2. An interesting ball game. The Mets got away to a 2-0 lead. It was 2-1. When they tied up 2-2, Mets went ahead. The Cubs came back. One man out. Runner at first. Rick Shawon. The delivery. He fouls the ball back. He tried to check his swing. 2-2. The Dodgers shut out Houston 2-0. Cincinnati beat the Giants 6-2. Two balls, 2 strikes.
Lancaster and Berryhill having some communication problems. That's about the 4th time he stepped off the mound.
Check him out. He's called out on strike. Magadan. And that brings up Vince Coleman with 2 out.
Looks like Magadan was surprised by a slider. Les took something off it, and Magadan couldn't pull the trigger. Berryhill wants it away. It's what's called that backdoor slider, where you try to slip it over the outside corner to the left-hand hitter. Fine location by Lancaster. A pretty tough pitch to a good hitter. See the reaction of Magadan. He can't pull the trigger. He's mystified by both the location and the velocity.
Coleman, who's nothing out of 3, was robbed of a hit on a sensational diving shoestring catch by Doug DeCenzo back in the 3rd. One ball, no strikes. Strike called over the outside corner. Tim Belcher was the winner for the Dodgers. The save by Jay Howell. The Dodgers beat Houston 2-0. One. Ramon Martinez goes for his 7th victory tomorrow night against Houston. Coleman 1 ball, 2 strikes. In the 8th, the Cubs will have Sandberg, Grace, and Bell. If anybody gets on, Dawson. One ball, 2 strikes. There goes a runner. There's a throw. They're going to get him. Heels easily out. And Rick Cerrone is thrown out stealing. Who's he kidding?
They want to lead off with Coleman next inning.
At the end of 7, it's tied up at 3. Stadium has been going to the top of the 8th. The game is all tied up. The Cubs have made 3 runs on 6 hits. The Mets have made 3 runs on 8 hits. The Cubs have the only home run by Shawon Dunston, leading off the 3rd for their first run. Here's Sandberg. 0 for 3. Of 100, Pena. Good fastball in there, strike ball.
A few years back, Pena led the National League in ERA with a 2.48 ERA for the Dodgers. Those were the days when he was a starter before he hurt his arm.
Line drive, it is going to be caught. Sandberg line to Hubie Brooks, who had him played perfectly. One man out. Mark Grace 0 for 3. The first 3 men in the batting order for the Cubs have yet to get a hit. DeCenzo's 0 for 4. There's a drive in the right field, a base hit. And the Cubs have a runner on first. Mark Grace single to right. So he's 1 out of 4. And here comes George Bell, who's 2 out of 3, 2 singles so far.
George has been grounding into some double plays. He's grounded into 5 of them, and that leads the club. So Jim Essien might decide to go with a hit and run to stay out of the double play. Put the pressure on Rick Cerrone.
Pena throws to first.
The Mets have a lead late in the game. Bud Harrelson has been taking out Hubie Brooks, putting in Darryl Boston for defense. But apparently in a tie ball game, Brooks still in there in right field.
Strike call right in there. We're in the top of the 8th. 1 out, 1 on. Game tied at 3. Strong had a good cut, but fouls it back. And he's behind on the count now. 0-2. The outfield kind of bunches him towards center. Andre Dawson is next. Barely got a piece of that one. He's still alive.
That time, instead of pulling off the ball, George looked like he was looking at right field, trying to take that breaking ball that way. Pretty good idea. If you try to pull that breaking ball, you ground to short and into 2.
0-2 the count. Popped it up. Miller, the second baseman's there, makes the catch. Ball up to Andre Dawson as Bell popped out. Dawson's 1 out of 3 tonight. A single in the fourth. In their eighth, they'll start off with Vince Coleman. He'll be leading off. Foul ball back right below us into the stand. The Cubs with 7 hits. The Mets with 8.
There's only one way the ball's going to get over the head of Vince Coleman, and that's to go out of the ballpark. He's playing about 380 feet straight away in center field.
Ground ball here from left field, base hit. Here's a run around second holding. And Dawson grounds his single pass, Hojo Johnson. And that brings up Damon Berryhill, who doubled in a run in the fourth.
Damon has got a chance, and probably the most accurate arm in the outfield belongs to Kevin McReynolds in left field. Coleman doesn't have much of an arm at all in center, and Hubie Brooks an average arm in right.
2 out, 2 on. Each team with 8 hits, each team with 3 runs. Cubs have made the only 2 errors of the ball game. Now ready? And Cerrone wants to talk to Alejandro Pena. Long ball game.
This is the first man that Pena has had at second base, and he used a different set of signs. Kevin Elster wants to know exactly what Pena and Cerrone are going to use, and he'll have some sort of an idea if he wants to play Berryhill up the middle or shade him a little more toward third base. And right now he's playing him up the middle.
Damon Berryhill, a chance to be a hero here. Ooh, low and inside. Nice save by Cerrone.
Damon has got some power, and Hubie Brooks is not playing him overly deep in right field, so he can hit the ball over his head.
1 ball, no strikes. Swung and he missed. A ball and a strike. White Sox lead Oakland 2-0 in the first. Texas won its 10th in a row, beating Minnesota. One. And he missed. Boy, he's swinging from Port Arthur. In the first game, Berryhill hit a homer. In this game, he hit a double driving in a run. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two left. They go in the bottom of the 8th. The game's still tied at 3. Back at Shea Stadium, here's Vince Coleman. Coleman ran the count to 3-2 in the 7th when Cerrone was thrown out trying to steal. So he has seen 6 pitches thrown by Lancaster.
In a career that dated back to 1975, Rick Cerrone only has 4 stolen bases, his last one coming in 1986. So let's see if the percentages played by Bud Harrelson worked out. He wanted to lead off this inning with Coleman.
A little bit outside. Hey, Lancaster wanted that one. 2 balls and the strike. Salazar playing very shallow, as is Grace. He bunts. The count is evened up as he bunts foul.
Talked to Mike Cubbage, the third base coach, before the game, and he said that at this point, Coleman is just an average bunter. He does have great speed, and if he lays it down, he is able to beat it out about half the time. But he can't bunt like, say, Rod Carew, who was a master at that.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Drills it foul outside third in the left field corner. Or a ball boy chases it down. 2 balls, 2 strikes. 3-3 tie. We're in the bottom of the 8th. Again, he fouls it off. Almost got Yosh Kawano.
You don't want to throw anything off speed to Vince Coleman because the defense is swung way around toward left and left center. There's a big gap in right center and down the line in right, and he can pull anything off speed. So you want to stay hard away from him. Might get the fly ball to left field.
Again, he fouls it off in the same spot. And Yosh Kawano pulled away from the step and points to Coleman to hit it fair.
Yosh thinks he's wearing a target. And Jose Vizcaíno is guarding Yosh. He's the most valuable man down there. You can't get back home with the equipment if somebody hits him.
2 balls, 2 strikes. Again, he fouls it into the stand. And every pitch has been fouled towards the third base section. Two balls, 2 strikes. And Coleman steps out. Coleman saw 5 pitches thrown in the 7th. Again, he slices it foul.
Pretty good battle here between Lancaster and Coleman. And Les keeps throwing strikes.
Coleman, big number 1. Ball 3. If he walks, you know he's going to steal. Look at Efsian in the dugout. Struck him out! Struck him out! Over the outside corner. 1 out.
Another backdoor slider, and probably the biggest pitch that Les Lancaster has thrown tonight. He completely surprised Coleman. Jerry Crawford rings him up, and Coleman, looking fastball all the way, doesn't believe the call.
Boy, that's a big out indeed. Here's Keith Miller, who's had a perfect night. 2 singles and a double. Facing Lancaster for the first time. Curveball in there, a strike call. One out, nobody on. 3-3 tie. The ball is bunted foul. And he's in the hole now, 0-2.
Earlier in the game, he was able to bunt to third base and get a base hit in the 3rd inning. This time he tried to push it up the right side, but the ball went foul. So Keith Miller, fresh from his victory in the Jay Leno lookalike contest, gets another shot at it.
The Cubs in the 9th will have Salazar, Dunston, and Lancaster due up. Oh, and 2 the count. Fastball high, held up in time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. A tense ball game here at Chase Stadium. to Salazar. And Keith Miller was going for his 4th straight hit. Salazar leaped and brought it down.
And when you don't off the end of the bat, and the only thing you have to worry about is timing your jump. You have a tendency to leap too quickly, and Louis was able to make the play. Not hit real hard, but hard enough, and Salazar right there.
2 men are out. Here's Hubie Brooks. Strike call. He's ahead of him now, 0-2, with 2 men out, nobody on. The bottom of the 8th.
The Mets had a surplus of pitching. They traded Bob Ojeda. Darryl Strawberry went with the Dodgers as a free agent, and they had Hubie Brooks expendable.
A little bit high and outside, ball 1. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Waiting on deck is Hojo Johnson. 1 ball, 2 strikes. That evens it up. Now this is as far as he wants to go. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out, nobody on. Struck him out with an off-speed curveball. And that's 4 strikeouts for Lancaster in 2 innings of relief. At the end of 8, we're tied at 3. And Steve Stone. John Franco comes in as a new pitcher for the Mets. And Darryl Boston will be playing right field as they flip-flop their batting order.
This is a big game for both teams, and this shows you that Bud Harrelson thinks that he's really got to win this one, because you very rarely see John Franco come into a non-save situation. But here he is in the 9th inning in a tie game, and he brings a 1-2 record with him. A spotless 0.63 ERA on for the 14th time. He's got 8 saves. He's given up no home runs in 14 1/3 innings. He has walked 7, and the Cubs usually make things very difficult for him.
Here's Salazar, who's 0 for 2. You know, this 3-game series, maybe this reflects the drawing power of Darryl Strawberry. With beautiful weather prevailing, 3 games played here, and there hasn't been one crowd over 30,000. They've all been 29,000 or less. Salazar in the hole, 0-2.
Hector Villanueva getting ready.
Bouncing ball. Nice play. Get a break. Get a break. Elster juggled the ball as he's going to throw it. And the go-ahead run is at first base with nobody out.
He had a long way to come for this ball, but it should go as an error because this is a play he should have made. When it comes up on the big hop, you know he's going to throw him out, and he can't get the throw off.
The hit they give him.
Goes as a hit. Yep. Christmas time in New York.
And that brings up Dunston, who's driven in 2 of the 3 runs for the Cubs. He homered for their first run, and he tripled to tie it in the 7th for the last run. John Franco.
Mets have a better arm now in right field with Darryl Boston in the game.
He tries the bunny bunch foul. Franco with 1-1 loss, 2. Saved 8.
Dunston has 1 sacrifice this year, and usually he's a better bunter when he's bunting for a hit. He has some problems squaring around and laying it down. He usually fouls them off.
Oh, I wish he'd hit one down the third baseline. Johnson playing very shallow. Salazar gets back. Now he drops back a little bit. But Shawn's got a lot of room, and he ought to be able to pull a left-hander like Franco. The ball is bunted foul. The Cardinals are down to the Pirates 8-2 again. De Leon the winner. Randy Tomlin the loser.
Big game to win for the Cubs. They could go back home with 16 out of 19 played at Wrigley Field. Only 4 games in back of the Pirates if they can win this one tonight.
Throw to first, runner back. Hector Villanueva will be the pinch hitter next for Lancaster. Foul tipped it. 0-2. May have swung at a bad ball that time. Now Elster, the shortstop, is playing him near second base. Be in position for a double play. Watch, there's the shortstop, and there's Hojo Johnson. Whoa, almost hit him. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
With the defense the way it is, and Elster playing up the middle, Johnson guarding the line, you would think that Franco would want to stay away and turn that fastball over. Let's see what Cerrone calls.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Throw to first. One ball, 2 strikes. All inside, 2-2. Twice Franco has tried to nip that inside corner and has missed both times. Salazar leads. Magadan returns the ball. Two. Oh, right to the pitcher. But he's no double play. The throw by Franco was low, and Elster made a fine catch of it at the shoe top. He was off balance, and Dunston beat the throw, trying for the double play.
The ball was hit so hard that Elster didn't have a chance to get to second base. You see it right there. Now, Elster wants this ball up high. He gets it down low, does the best he can to try to get it to first, but no chance to get Dunston. On a throw like that, you have to take a beat, let the man get there, and throw it letter high, and Franco just made a bad throw.
Now here is Hector Villanueva, who hit one a mile last night, a home run. Curve low and outside. 1 ball, no strikes, 1 out. Dunston very fast.
Hector 1 for 4 as a pinch hitter. Paul Assenmacher throwing in the bullpen for the Cubs.
DeCenzo will be next. Ball too low. 2 balls, no strikes, 1 out. Score tied, 3-3. Top of the 9th.
If Hector is going to get a good pitch to drive, it's going to be right here. Franco usually with pretty good control.
2 balls, no strikes. Ball 3 is high. 3-0. Chuck Cartier coaching in third, and Hector's looking down there at him to see me. There's Jim Essien. 3 balls, no strikes. Strike call. 3-1.
Just because you have the hitting privilege 3-0 doesn't mean you have to swing. That ball was away from Hector. Good pitcher's pitch.
3-1. A high bouncing ball. The throw to first base is a wild one. There goes Dunston on to third base. And Elster didn't have enough arm. He skipped the ball over there, and it skipped right by Magadan.
Remember, Elster is just coming off shoulder surgery, and he doesn't make a good throw at all. He's got all kinds of time with Villanueva going down the line. But Magadan is not going to win any Gold Gloves at first. You got to knock this ball down. He could have kept Dunston at second base. He tries to swipe at it, and he can't come up with it. It skips under his glove. So the Cubs in business.
And here is Doug DeCenzo with a lead run at third. Only 1 out. Another man at first, Hector Villanueva.
You know, they talked about the possibility of Doug bunting, especially up the right side with a left-hander on the mound. It's a pretty good play, especially with a fast man at third in Dunston.
Whoa, boy. He almost didn't get off the rubber in time. There's Cartier going through a series of signs. Infield's playing back around short and second.
I can't see why they're playing back here. DeCenzo runs real well. It's going to be tough for them to turn two.
Well, pitch out. They thought the squeeze might be on. And let's see if they do it again. Sandor would be coming up next.
Best play, if they decide to do it, would be the safety squeeze, in that Dunston wouldn't have to run unless DeCenzo laid down a good bunt.
There's Buddy Harrelson, the Mets manager. Ball 2. And Franco with 2 balls, no strikes. Now, if he's going to put on a squeeze, I would imagine this might be in the pitch. Because Franco probably going to try to get a strike. You can't afford to walk him. Ball 3. 3 balls, no strike. There's a split screen. You see Essien walking back and forth. There's Buddy Harrelson.
Difference between a manager in his second year and a manager in his second game.
3 balls, no strike. Strike call. Cartier is giving us a squeeze sign.
It was the perfect time for the safety squeeze, because you don't have to bunt the ball if it's out of the strike zone.
Dunston, the runner at third. Squeezes on, but he bunts foul. Oh, man. If he just gets it down fair, Dunston was already across home plate. Maybe the pitch was bad, though. No,
Pitch was right down the middle. The Cubs twice have failed to execute in this inning, and the Mets have given them a couple of defensive gifts. The Cubs still in the driver's seat.
Three balls, 2 strikes. 1 out, runners first and third. Game tied. 3-3 in the top of the 9th. The crowd cheering on Franco. The squeeze play works. The squeeze play works. With the count 3-2, DeCenzo bunted down to Howard Johnson, whose only play had to go to first. And the Cubs lead 4-3. Look at the Cubs dugout. Look at that.
RBI number 8 is Doug DeCenzo in the most difficult of circumstances. The runner coming home and 2 strikes on you gets the job done. Dunston scores easily. Hector Villanueva moves to second, and the Cubs on top by a run. And what a play by DeCenzo.
And did you see what Dunston done? Before Johnson picked the ball up, Dunston had already slid across the plate. All right, now they're walking Sandberg intentionally and bring up Grace. And Grace hits left-handers very well, you know. Oh, to get another run for insurance. 4-3 Cubs. Here, now watch it. Look at this. Look where Shawn is when the ball is fielded. That's how perfect the execution on 3-2 of the squeeze play was.
And you have to have good timing. You cannot break before the pitcher delivers the ball, and Dunston is fast enough to wait till Franco was in his delivery and then take off.
Boy, you think speed is an important factor in this game? Any game? Here now is Grace. Oh, for a base hit. Cubs already lead 4-3. And this is the first time tonight that the Cubs have led. The best before was to tie it up, and they had to come from behind 3 different times. Mark Grace. High fly ball's going to be caught. Coleman is there to retire the side. But the Cubs push across. The lead run. We go in the bottom of the 9th. The Cubs 4. The Mets 3. Comes in for the save.
Paul probably feels like he's had a vacation after being used quite a bit. He's had a couple of days off, and he comes into this one throwing the ball pretty well. On for the 21st time. The ERA 3.29. 27 1/3 innings, 29 strikeouts, and he's got to go through the heart of the New York Met border.
Oh, I tell you, Les Lancaster did a tremendous job in 2 innings, striking out 4 men. The score was tied 3-3 while he was pitching those 2 tough innings.
Harry, I think that this was the best stuff that Lancaster has had all year. He was just overpowering with that good, hard slider.
And boy, they have the heart of their batting order. Howard Johnson, curve strike. Johnson, McReynolds. He's ahead of them 0-2.
High fastball by Ossenmacher, and he's happy to get that one by Johnson.
Watch this foul ball coming right back in your living room. Right through our booth. Boom, I'm ducking out of the way.
Don't worry,
he almost got me in the head, yeah. 0-2 to count.
I don't think Paul wants another fastball up there, but if he does go with a fastball, he wants it higher than that.
He struck him out on 3 pitches. And the relief pitchers. 4 strikeouts in 2 innings for Lancaster. 1 already for Assenmacher.
Outfield very deep at all 3 positions for Kevin McReynolds.
Curve in there, a beauty. Assenmacher shooting for his 4th save. High fly ball. Don't worry about it because Dawson is there. 2 gone.
Now we're going to have to get by Mark Carrion, who's going to pinch hit for Darrell Boston, and he's been all everything. 6 for 10 with 3 home runs and 4 RBIs as a pinch hitter. This man has been on fire, and Damon Berryhill now talking with Assenmacher. I'm sure he'd love to stay away from Carrion, not allowing him to pull the ball, because he's thinking long ball, plain and simple.
Carrion hitting .333. He's 6 out of 10 with 3 homers as a pinch hitter. 2 men are out, nobody on. Curveball a little bit low. 1 ball, no strike. Shawon is due next. He swung and he missed, and now the count is evened up. Look at Essien walking back and forth. 1 ball, 1 strike.
What a big game to win for the Cubs, putting him 4 in back of Pittsburgh.
Strike 2. You know, Essien had some habits developed through his managerial career. When a player hits a home run, when he comes to the dugout, he's got his cap off, saluting him before he shakes his hand. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Jim is a spirited guy, and you're going to see a lot more of this pacing back and forth all season long.
The delivery. Tapped it foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The one thing you fear is the home run. This guy is a tough cookie. Hey, Bill Murray watching the ball game. Hey, Cubs win! Cubs win! Cubs win! Look at Essien. Is he happy? He has won the first 2 games he's managed in the major leagues, and the Cubs have finished his trip with an even break. Look at his reaction on strike 3 to Carrion. Hey, all right. And so Lancaster and Assenmacher in 3 innings fanned 6 men as the Cubs have beaten the Mets 4-3. We'll be back in a moment. Of the night is his perfectly executed squeeze play with a count 3-2 on him. DeCenzo bunts perfectly, and Dunston is slid across with a winning run even before Hojo Johnson could pick the ball up. Certainly the Budweiser play of the night, and what a night Shawon Dunston had. The final score again, the Cubs 4 and the Mets 3. Our next telecast on Channel 9 will be between the Montreal Expos and the Chicago Cubs tomorrow afternoon. Our telecast begins with a leadoff man at 2 o'clock. Stay tuned now for the news. The producer director of Cubs baseball is Arnie Harris. The coordinating producer is Bill Barson. Our associate producer is Joe Carneal. Harry Carey from New York. So long, everybody.